I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be defining your goals. I've got an email here from a guy. He's 22, and he originally immigrated from Somalia to the Netherlands, where he lives now. He's in college. He was originally going to school to become an attorney. And what's interesting is he said he kind of fell in with the wrong kind of people that really weren't going anywhere in life. And he says from the time like he was 15 till he was about 22, he was doing all kinds of drugs, smoking weed, drinking, partying, hanging out with drug dealers, doing the kinds of things that are not a good idea if you're somebody that has big goals, big dreams. And then what happened was he came across my work because things went sideways with a woman that he was dating. So he started reading the book, started implementing it, started seeing the results. And because he was starting to become more successful with women, his whole outlook on life changed. There was like one of my quotes that I have written down on my list of quotes. There's probably like 40 pages of quotes. And it goes something along the lines of, life is what happens to you when you're busy making other plans. So I have a quote that I wrote in this particular topic, so we're going to go through and see what this guy's learned and how he's been able to not only help himself in his personal life, but what he's learned in my book and how he's applied it has actually gotten him more focused on some really big goals, really big ambitions on what he wants to do with his life. And so the quote says, "The more successful a man becomes with women, the more he will become productive and focused on his goals, mission, and purpose in life. The more successful a man becomes in his career or business, the more he will embody masculine energy, and the more attractive and desirable women will find him. Focusing on your goals will give your life purpose and meaning." Short, sweet, and to the point. So with that in mind, because I talk about in my book, it's like, especially when you become really successful women, especially like when you have your first relationship with a woman who knocks your fucking socks off and you're head over heels in love with her, and she feels the same way about you, and you make love to her. It's just, as a man, you want to be better. Not only better for yourself, but better for her. This is something that just kind of naturally happens to you. It's kind of like you climb to the top of the mountain, because up until that moment in your life, and it really doesn't matter what age you are, whether it's something that happens to you when you're a teenager in love for the first time, or maybe it's not till you're 50, 60 years old that you really get to experience true love and true joy in a relationship with somebody that you're really into and who feels the same way about you. It's like it changes everything. It's like even just observing the sky and the blueness of the sky and the weather, you just appreciate life more, and that's the beauty of having somebody that you really care about and you really love and who feels the same way about you. You're more grateful, you're happier, you're more peaceful, you're more relaxed, and you just naturally, instinctively want to become more. And you see in this guy's email, that's what's happening to him. He's got some really big goals, some really big plans, which I think is awesome. So he says, "Dear Sensei, you are receiving this email because A, I want to thank you deeply for the information that you have shared on your website and on YouTube. B, because I want to tell you that you're amazing. Corey, damn, you rock." I appreciate all the flowery language. "Please keep up the good work." C, because I want to share my still developing success story with you. And D, to ask a question. It's interesting that this guy was focused on becoming a lawyer because he's really documenting things in a detailed kind of way. If you're going to be an attorney, you have to be detail-oriented. "Before I introduce myself, I want to thank you deeply for the information that you have shared on your website and YouTube. You are a true humanitarian, and I will certainly make a donation." Donations are always appreciated. And if you're so inclined, you can do so on my YouTube channel, or you can go to my website and just click the PayPal donate button. "My name is Bob." It's not really Bob. "I'm 22 years old and I live near Maastricht, Maastricht, a city in the Netherlands." Well, I probably butchered the name, but he says, "I was born in Somalia. My parents came to the Netherlands as refugees when I was 2 years old. I am raised with an Islamic background. Since I was 10 years old, I wanted to become a lawyer. I did the highest educational forms in high school and eventually started with law school at Maastricht University in 2011 when I was 18. I thought I was doing what I liked, and that being a lawyer was what I wanted. Notice how he said what he liked. You want to focus on what you love and what you have a passion for, what you feel like you have a fucking burning desire to do. It's the kind of thing that's so exciting and so compelling, you can't think of anything else. It's like when you're choosing your career, your purpose, your mission in life, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you hate it, 10 being you absolutely love it and you can't imagine anything better, ideally you want to be focused on doing something to where the activities of that career or that business are things that you absolutely love. And the reason being is that you will never work hard enough to become really great at something that you like. And like when I talk to people and they're asking help to figure out what their purpose is, a lot of times they say, well, I like this or like that. And I just said, I don't want to hear anything about what you like. If we write anything down on your list that's stuff that you like, you're going to take yourself in the wrong direction. We need to talk about things that you deeply love and you deeply have a passion for. And a lot of people, they try to focus on a career or a goal, but what I do when I'm doing phone sessions with them is I ask them questions. And I ask them about things that they've done. I ask them about their interests, their hobbies. And I get them to tell me, like, say for example, say they love the game of soccer. They just say, I love it. Okay, well, tell me what specifically do you love about it? And they write down, I love the competitiveness of it. Or I love the teamwork and the camaraderie. Or I love the preparation. Or I love the skill or the strategy of getting the ball down the field and putting it in the goal. It's in finding those little things that they love about what they're passionate about. What usually ends up happening is they'll end up coming up with a list of anywhere from like 5 to 15 things that they really love, that they really have a passion for. These are like aspects, and it could be maybe have been a job in the past they had, and there may have been one part of that job that they really love, but everything else just totally sucked. And that's why it's so important when I go through with people and I'm helping them figure these things out, is that we focus on writing down the things that they love or aspects of things that they love. It could be going to the beach. I love going to the beach. I'm going to make a career out of going to the beach. What is it that you love about being at the beach? And when you have those 5, 10, 15 things written down, that's the first step. Those are your driving force needs. And everybody's different. Everybody has different driving force needs, things that are uniquely innate to you. In other words, you're just born and you're attracted to certain things in life. You're interested and you're curious about certain things in life. And once they have those written down, then they can look at a career or a business where their day in and day out activities of that job or of that career or that business involve their driving force needs. And then the next step is research. Sometimes it might entail going to college to get a degree. Sometimes it might entail going to work for somebody that already has a really successful business so they can learn from them, they can get paid, they can learn all the ins and outs of the business, and then eventually they can go start their own instead of trying to reinvent the wheel. Because when the one common denominator, when you look at the most successful people in the world that make the most money, they all will tell you they absolutely love what they do. They love getting up, they love going to work, they love doing the day-to-day activities. Now, it doesn't mean every single fucking day is all sunshine and roses, but the overriding majority of their time is spent doing things that they really enjoy. When you really enjoy what you're doing and you love it, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like playing. And when things feel like playing, it's like, you think about it, when you're a little kid, you play all day long. You get a cardboard box, and it keeps you busy for a week. So back to his email. He says, I got very good grades, and I'm a high achiever, and I'm doing a second master's degree now, but I used to smoke lots of weed as well. It's the Netherlands, man. I'm with you there, dude. Weed's great, drinking's great, eating chocolate cake is great, but when you do it all the time, then you're escaping from life, and that's not healthy. The idea is no matter what you're doing in life, you want to try to be healthy about 80% of the time, and then 20% of the time drink your beer eat your fried food, do your bong hits for Jesus, whatever it happens to be. He says, I'm very intellectual, introverted at some times, and very social, extroverted, and outgoing most of the time. Most of my teenage years, I was chilling on the street corners with dealers. I'm sure your parents love that. It was all about hip-hop and idolizing the gangster culture. I was hanging around people that were far below my intellectual level, but I liked them for who they were, and most of them saw the best future criminal lawyer of Holland in me. Maybe they were all thinking, hey, I'm going to be a client of yours someday. I started smoking weed when I was 15 years old, and when I was 18, I started to use some funny stuff that goes along with lots of alcohol on a weekly basis. Party like a rock star, like you say. To me personally, I'll drink a little, I'll smoke a little weed, I like some junk food, but all that other shit, coke, I never touched any of that stuff. I remember when I was, I think it was in the early 80s and I was high school. And I remember there was this basketball player, and he was like got #1 draft pick, and his name was Len Bias. And it's like everybody was talking about him. He was just like another Michael Jordan of that era. And the guy was just incredible. And so to celebrate, he hung out got a bunch of his friends together. Somebody brought some coke. He did a couple of lines and dropped dead of a fucking heart attack. Just like that. And most people will never know who that guy was. I heard things like that. I mean, that made an impression on me. I was thinking, damn, one line of that shit? Like, I ain't touching that. Now, I had lots of friends over the years that have done that stuff, and that's just a fucking nasty-ass drug. I personally never tried it, never will. I'll smoke a little ganja. I'll drink a little beer. I'll eat some junk food. That's as far as it goes. I don't pop pills. I don't do X. I don't do any of that shit. Because you never know where it comes from. I can't count the number of times over the years, like when I was in my 20s and my early 30s, I'd be hanging out in a nightclub somewhere, hanging out at the VIP table. And I see some fucking dude, they're fucking pumping his chest. You know, the paramedics, because some idiot popped a pill, didn't know what he was doing, and OD'd right there in front of me. It's like, people, you don't know where these pills come from. It's like, who are you going to go after if you get a bad pill? All it takes is one little bad pill, and I mean, sometimes people use Drano, they use all kinds of shit in that stuff. It's just not worth it. But anyways, that's my take, 2 cents on that. He says, I tried to quit and kicked the bad habits a couple of times, but it never worked out for the long run. I was always thinking, I'm still young. I'll make serious attempts to stop when I get a serious job. Obviously the story that you were telling yourself. Because using drugs didn't affect my personal and business life. At least that's what I was telling myself. That was basically my life from the age of 15 to 22. When it comes to people that do drugs or they have really bad drinking problems or drug problems, it all stems from a failure to feel. And it's just not a healthy thing. But the thing is, I was talking to a client today who had been dating somebody for many years that had an alcohol problem. And as much as they cared about this other person, as much as they were there for them through the DUIs and the arrests and all the things that went along with that, until that person hits the wall, until that person gets to the point where they say, I've had enough of this shit. This totally sucks ass. This is not for me. I need to make a change. They're not going to do anything. It's just like somebody that's, 500-600 pounds, and the doctor's like, if you don't lose weight, you're going to be dead in a couple of years. Sometimes that's sobering enough to make people go, you know what? Maybe I really should pay attention to what I put in that big hole in my face. And maybe I should exercise a little bit more. And other people are just like, I don't care, give me the fucking pill. And then they drop dead of a heart attack. It's just sad. But it is what it is. You got to participate in your own rescue. So he says, let me take you to the beginning of August 2015. Everybody always says, I stumbled across your videos. Like it's just some fucking accident. Like you're just going to, walking down the street and boom, you stumble over a YouTube video. It's like stumbling has nothing to do with it. Something was fucked up and wasn't working in your life, and you're like, and you went to Google, let me find an answer. So you didn't stumble over anything. You showed up right on time, right on when you were ready, and you were open to it, and you realized that the way you were going about things in your personal life wasn't working. You sought out a solution. I mean, it says in the Bible, if you seek, you will find. And obviously you have found what you were looking for. I stumbled across some of your videos and articles on the internet because I messed up with a certain girl, etc. Basically, I wanted to improve my game. So here I am watching one of your videos where you say that you've written an ebook. And I love to read. And while I was reading your book, I got a feeling like, damn, this shit is real. The truth is self-evident. I've currently read your book 8 times in a period of 2 to 3 months. It's a pretty good effort, dude. I talk to people that have been following me for 1.5 years, 2 years, and they barely got through the book one time, and they wonder why they're still struggling. It's like, gee, go figure. It's such a fucking enigma. I got kind of complacent with reading when I had read your book 6 times because I think of myself as a very good student and a quick learner, which I proved to myself when I started with studying 24 hours before exams and still got good results. I knew I couldn't pull that shit off when I was in college. If I tried that, I'd be dropping that class after a few months. I motivated myself to repeat because we all know what the mother of skill is, and now, yep, I'm on my 9th reading now. Well, repetition is the mother of skill. It's like the great Aristotle said thousands of years ago. Excellence is not a singular act. It is a habit. You are what you do repeatedly. Another reason why I always say read the book 10 to 15 times. And it's also why many of the concepts that I teach that are really important, I will repeat them throughout the book. It's there for a reason. Because remember, each time you read something or you watch it or you listen to it, you're only going to gain about 8 to 10% of it. You're only going to commit 8 to 10% of it to memory. I always thought my game was alright, but when I put your stuff into practice, oh man, I got on a whole other level. That's what I say all the time. Even if you don't think I know what the hell I'm talking about, if you apply things I teach, you will see they work for you. It sells itself. And it costs you nothing to learn. It's all free. Even my book you can read for free by subscribing to the newsletter. And then once you see that it works, then go buy the Kindle or the iBook or a paperback edition. He says, the most amazing part was finding my emotional center. I didn't even think about the possibility that something like this could be possible. You gave me kind of a superpower, haha, and in some way you put me, intentionally or unintentionally, on a spiritual path as well. Well, every spiritual tradition talks about this, talks about being in the present moment, talks about not letting your fears impact you, or your fear of the future, or obsessing over what happened in the past. Because when you're not living in the present moment, you're going to suffer. Because when you're not living in the present moment, you're not accepting your present reality for what it is. And the only moment that exists is right now. But most people are always worried about what may or may not happen in the future, or they're obsessing over what they did or didn't do in the past. And the reality is, you can't do anything about the future because it's not here yet, and you can't do anything about the past because it's already come and gone. But the only thing you have control over is what you do right now. And if you focus yourself in an efficient and productive manner, and not just being busy, you can determine where you end up in the future. He says, this new power gave me the urge to find out more about Kundalini energy, chakras, and meditation, but it affected, like you say in your book, other areas of my life as well, and that's the most amazing part. I could tell you a whole lot more about what happened in my life, but I know you like your messages short, so I'll end this message with telling you the life goals I have set for myself now. He says, I don't want to become a lawyer anymore. In 5 years, I want to have a company that makes millions, and I've already made the first steps towards my own company, but currently I'm still in university, and I'm broke as a joke. Well, it's like what Maya Angelou said. Don't focus on making money. Focus on something that you really love and you really have a passion for, and become so good at it that people can't take their eyes off of you. It's like what I do. I put all the stuff that I know out on the internet for other people to see, and I made it easy for them to find. I mean, I'm not the most articulate person. I don't have the best edited videos. But the bottom line is the information that I give, it fucking works. It solves a real problem in the world. And so people can come and say, wow, this shit really does work. Let me learn more from this dude. He says, B, make a lot of progression in Jeet Kune Do, Pangamat, and Eskrima martial arts and bodybuilding. Well, I have no idea what those particular martial arts are, but I think that's awesome. He says, C, be worth at least 5 million euros, and D, to have top health and live long-term healthy lifestyle. In 10 years, I want to have a business in real estate. I want to be Minister of Foreign Affairs in the Netherlands. I think that's similar to your Secretary of State in the U.S., you know, John Kerry. Yeah, John Kerry, that fucking guy. Likes to ride the bicycle. He's some of these fucking... The guy looks like a horse, basically. Be worth at least 500 million, and be extremely advanced in Jeet Kune Do and bodybuilding, and speak fluently in Dutch, English, Somali, Russian, French, Chinese, Spanish, Arabic, and German. Well, keep in mind, the only way you'll achieve those things is if you have an emotionally compelling reason. The idea is not to focus on making money for the sole purpose of making money, because even like Rockefeller said, the original Rockefeller, if you just strictly focus on being rich, you will never be rich. Because what does being rich come from? It comes from adding value through a useful product or service. In 15 years, because a goal without a plan is simply a wish. In 15 years, I want to be worth $2 billion, be Secretary General of the United Nations, or start a similar international organization, and be a Jedi in Jeet Kune Do and bodybuilding. So you want to take over the world? You want to run shit, huh? I think that's great. Good for you. The funny thing is, having a great relationship with a woman or having children is not something that popped up in my mind as a life goal. While nevertheless, I find these things very important as well. Defining my goals made things clear. Well, you have to have an emotionally compelling vision for your life. Because think about it. If you get up every day and your attitude is, oh, I got to go to that fucking shit job. I remember like yesterday I was in line and I was ordering something and there was a dude standing next to me and he was talking to one of his friends that worked behind the counter. They knew each other. And he was like, man, this fucking job is just killing me. And he was talking about going and he had a job interview set up and I was just sitting, I was just listening to this conversation. I was thinking to myself, I am so grateful that I get up every day and I actually enjoy what I'm doing and I'm good at it and I make a difference in people's lives. And just being in line, listening to somebody else talk about how they're struggling and how they feel like they have to get up and go to a shit job every day and they're hoping to get something better, and it's like, it's so nice. It's like many times I'll sit in my living room because I've got all glass windows where I can look over the city and I see all the cars on I-4 and it's like a fucking parking lot. I mean, it's just both directions. The cars aren't moving. I'm thinking, I remember when I used to be one of those people, working those jobs for other people. I'm so grateful that I get to do what I really love and I have a passion for a living. I get to make my own schedule. It's great. If I want to take a vacation, I schedule it and I just do it. I don't have to ask anybody. I don't have to put in a request for a couple weeks' notice to get some time off. It's like I do what I want. And what is success? Success is really being able to spend your life in your own way. So he says, thank you, Coach. I owe you big time. And in the future, I will make generous donations on your account. You've got my word on that. You are a life changer. Thanks for being alive, and may the Force be with you. May the Force be with you as well. In a couple of weeks, the new Star Wars is coming out. definitely looking forward to that. It's gonna be so fucking cool to see what happens to everybody 30-something years later. I remember growing up. I mean, those are great memories. Going to see Star Wars. I remember the last one was like Return of the Jedi when that came out. And that was like I think '83. I think it was in 8th grade. I remember that like it was yesterday. Going with my dad, my brother, my uncle, and my cousins to go see that. It was pretty cool. And so when I'm sitting in the theater watching that, I'm gonna be thinking about that. It's gonna take me right back to when I was a kid. And I'll probably go see that with my family during the holidays. What a great time to do that. 30-something years later. When was that? '83. This is 20. Man, that was so fucking long ago. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen on any page of my website, and just follow the instructions for booking whichever coaching option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.